This is the Stockwell Roueche Show, giving you real-time information you need to make educated decisions about buying and selling in the world-renowned Twin Cities. Now your hosts and real estate experts, Jason Stockwell and Josh Roueche.
Why rent? Topic of the day today. Why so many people are renting and what are they thinking is this topic. I'm Jason Stockwell with RE/MAX Results.
And I'm not Josh Roueche. I'm Robin Hartle, sitting in for Josh Roueche for just a brief amount of
Josh
time.
will be here shortly. And we have
Maddie B. with Gradient Home Mortgage.
Maddie B. So we're here today talking to you about renting is the main goal to talk about. So all of you out there listening, you folks out there, many of you may be renters yourself. You know renters. You have family that rents. And every maybe, I would guess, I don't know statistically, but I bet a majority of people have rented at some point in their life.
I'd like to think so. Yeah. I rented
so
for a minute.
It's a part or it's a phase of life. Or maybe if you're in the upper age of your life, you don't need to own anymore. Why would you not rent, right? So we're not saying there's no place in the marketplace for renting because we saw what that led to back in the crash, right? But what we're talking about is if you have the means and ability, home ownership is the true proven path to creating wealth in your life. So some things we're going to talk about as far as renting, though, is the rental market is so strong that many people pay astronomical amounts in rent, and I don't know why. I see it every day, and I don't know why. Either they're not looking at their situation financially to say, hey, this would be 3/4 of the payment, maybe 2/3 of the payment if I were to own, because the interest rates are so low. So I don't know if you've seen that, Maddie B. Are you seeing that out there when you talk to people in the lending world and they're actually inquiring about getting mortgages?
I see a lot of this, actually, and looking at this City Pages article that came out here yesterday, or pardon me, last week, there was talk about landlords who earlier in the day had their places listed at $1,025 for rent, and somebody would call back later that day and they'd raise rent because the cost had gone up so much. And I'm thinking to myself, if you're going to pay $1,000 a month for like a 1 or a 2 bedroom, why aren't you talking to an agent and a mortgage person about getting into, like, maybe you buy your first time home buyer, like a townhome? Because if you're going to rent an apartment. Yep. Might as well find something where a townhouse would be a significant upgrade in my eyes from renting an apartment, a shoebox for that matter, I guess. And looking at the prices across the Twin Cities, like Minneapolis right now is on an average of about $1,280 for rent. St. Paul's at $950. Minnetonka at like $1,100. Woodbury at a little over $1,000. I'm thinking to myself, there's places that are available that you could buy and have a payment that's less than that, or very close to it.
And the average on that, just so you know, folks, when he talks about the average rental price, that includes studios, 1 bedrooms, all the way up, because I know many of you are thinking, wow, I pay more than that in rent, or I live in that city and I know someone who pays, or I know someone who lives in that city and they pay $1,500, $1,600, $1,700, $1,800. I mean, in Edina, $2,000 to $2,200 a month in rent is not uncommon for a regular Rambler, 4-bed Rambler. So you see that all over the place. Robin, are you hearing of or seeing people come out of the woodwork and that are renters and say, we no longer want to rent? Is there a big drive for that?
Yeah, there is. I've got a really good friend of mine right now that is renting. And the reason that she's renting is maybe some credit issues and that kind of thing. So she's at a point in her life right now where she's not able to buy a home of her own. Her job is unstable.
Yep.
So
security.
She doesn't have job security right now. So she is in a position where she is renting a home with a lot of other people. And so it works for her. There's also situations where people travel a lot, or they move from city to city, and it doesn't make sense for them to bear down and buy a home if they're going to, in the next 6 months, they're going to have to transfer, and they're going to, and they transfer a lot. And so they don't see themselves having to, purchase a home that they're going to have to sell and then sell again and sell again.
If you think about it, if you buy a place, let's say you buy and there's some other stuff that I wanted to talk about today as well that's talking about our possibility that we're starting to see home values start to slide backwards a little bit. Not much, but enough where it's starting to level out. And if you get a leveling out happening on the values right now, you buy a place and find out 6 months, 8 months, 12 months later that you now are being transferred and you have a real estate commission you got to pay to sell the house because nobody works for free. We all have a living that we have to make. You're going to be upside down. And if you're not having your company pay the real estate agent for you, because not everybody has that luxury in companies when they're being transferred, you're now coming out of pocket. And if so, you bought a house, you might have made a bad financial decision. Not saying that that's ever a bad financial decision, because I think buying a house, like Jason said, is probably one of the fastest ways to build a net worth for yourself in the long run. But that uncertainty is definitely there. Like I got somebody right now who was talking to me about the pre-approval process, and she doesn't know whether or not her job's going to be as stable, kind of like your friend. And there's that uncertainty scares people. They put the brakes on and they're like, you know what? I want my ducks in a row. And we all know ducks don't walk in a row, but they want to get their ducks in a row to figure out what's going to happen. And my thought with that is, let's say a house goes up 5% a year. That's just using a number, not saying that that's happening nationwide or even in the Twin Cities right now. But if a house goes up 5% a year, my thought is I want to buy into that appreciation as soon as I can.
Yeah, and what I'm seeing out there too is a lot of renters who we get inquiries in from that are buying or looking to buy. They're not doing it necessarily out of want to buy. They're doing it because their current landlord or the current owner is actually going to be selling that particular house or property. So they're forced into a situation where they either have to re-rent again or find a new place to rent, which may be higher than what they've been paying, especially if they've been there a while, because their rent rate has not caught up to the current rate. And then they're forced into a situation where they have to figure out, okay, might as well buy now. And then it kind of puts the pressure, and everybody responds to pressure in some way, and they have to move. And instead of re-renting, they kind of think, well, maybe we'll buy. And that's where a lot of our inquiries are coming in from, is sellers, landlords are selling and cashing in, if you will, on the properties that they had. Either they bought them in the downturn or they've had them for a long time, and now they can actually get equity out of them.
Well,
sellers they're using them for life expenses, or for family members or for loved ones, especially if they're in that senior age group where they need help with assisted living or whatnot.
Yeah,
so
we were talking about this in I'm part of a Business Networking Incorporated group, and we were talking about this last week where one of the guys in the group has had a rental home over in the Richfield area for 15 years. 15 years.
Oh.
And somebody's been paying that mortgage for him. And he's now doing exactly what you were just talking about. His last tenant's out. He did a little bit of lipstick on the pig, pretty much. Went and repainted and didn't spend a lot of money fixing it up. But he put it on the market and literally had it gone in 24 hours. And, and he's opening up a present at this point because he's had somebody paying that mortgage for the last 15 years. He's like, I got a windfall of cash coming now. So it's great for the landlords that have held on to these for a while and actually want to cash in and do exactly what the reason that they bought the house for was. I'm buying the equity appreciation. I'm buying into the opportunity to have that happen in my life. So
I love it. Well, thanks, Maddie B. You're listening to the Stockwell Roueche Show every Sunday, 10 a.m. here on AM 1280 The Patriot. We're talking about why someone would choose to rent. Of course, there's reasons for that, but there's many people who rent that, in my opinion, shouldn't be, because they're wasting a significant amount of money. But there are people, of course, there's always exceptions. There's people like Robin Hartle said that relocate a lot, have to have the mobility factor, and they choose to rent because it makes sense for them, because the cost and the hassle of going through selling and buying a house all the time wouldn't make sense. Met a client the other day who was thinking of selling her rental, but is dealing with the question of, if I sell, I haven't been there for 5 years, or 2 of 5 years, so I have to pay capital gains.
Yeah.
That's another factor. So that the sellers would be thinking about of not selling their home. But as far as the benefits of owning, if you're renting right now, you get what's called a CRP form at the end of the year. It's part of the deal where you share in the cost of you share in the benefits of the property tax depreciation, is my understanding. I'm not an accountant, but you share in the cost of the depreciation. If you actually owned the home, these are some cool things that you could actually be utilizing for your taxes. The tax laws are written in favor of homeowners by far. You can exclude up to $500,000 in gain on the property if it's your personal residence. Working with clients right now who've been there probably 12 years, they have gains, significant gains on their property because the land value is so high in the area they are in Edina. They're probably going to be getting $400,000 or around $400,000 in tax-free gains because they've lived there as a personal residence.
Now, I want to reference that really quick because I believe it's $250,000 for a single person and it's $500,000 for a married couple.
Married couple, $500,000, correct. May it be $250,000 for a single person, yes. You can recapture depreciation taken after May 6th of 1997. You can deduct moving expenses. You can deduct moving expenses as an adjustment of gross income if you meet specific requirements for your own house, right? That's pretty cool.
It's really cool.
Everybody has to move and hates moving, and whether you hire it out or do it yourself or have your buddies or friends, it's not fun. You can increase your deductions with some buying and selling costs when you do your loan and when you do your fees and points and things like that. And you can also claim income tax credit if you're eligible and energy-saving improvements to your home. Many people are putting solar in, new windows, insulation. There's a lot of benefits to owning. Now, it's a lot of work to own a home, so that's another factor that you got to factor in if you're looking to own a home is you're putting a little more work into it, but hopefully that pays off. And usually now in this market, it has been paying off for people.
It has.
I've met another client the other day who bought in 2011, did some work to their house, and is now being relocated and is making a significant gain on their property when they sell it now when they're doing a relocation. And they have a relocation company helping them cover all of the costs.
Expenses.
So that's something you got to reach out to for your company if you're looking to.
If they're going to make you move, my thought is that if they're relocating you and they want to keep you, they're going to find a way to find somebody like Robin and Jason or Josh to take care of the real estate.
If you're a valued asset and you're moving and you're promoted or you're moving for a reason, you should be able to get some help with that. And that's what they do. Or incentive, they do an incentive package for you on that as well. We'll go over more on why you should buy a home and maybe why it might not be a good idea to keep paying the increased rent that you're getting every year, year over year. When you go to renew your lease, you know it happens, you see it happen, you hear about it happening, and why you might want to stop that and buy a home. I'm Jason Stockwell with RE/MAX Results.
And Robin Hartle with RE/MAX Results.
And I'm Maddie B. with Gradient Home Mortgage.
We'll be back soon.
I guess they still are. I want 'em back. Broke into the old apartment.
That's what your landlord
I was
doing
just
right
going to
now.
say that. I was just thinking the same thing. There's the landlord's
taking your
theme
money,
song.
taking your money. He or she or the company you're paying rent to is taking your money and running. Maybe
That
they're
is
going to
on re-
Vegas.
That
Maybe they're putting it in a
that Corvette. And
yeah.
this-
They're buying a
eating
brand
out
new
of
car.
the-
Maybe they have a boat. Who knows? Because you know why? You are paying
Their mortgage.
their mortgage. You're paying for their house. So
And that
not to
fancy
make you feel
car.
bad. Sometimes, and some people are fine with it. I rented for a long time, or a fairly long time, and I was fine with it because of the lifestyle at the time.
Yep.
You're younger and you wanted the freedom and flexibility and all that.
Yep.
But just know that at some point, you may want to be the one
Taking the money and running.
is taking the money and running. Yeah, and not running. That's hopefully not. That's not the case. But that's what happened. baby.
Running the payments to the bank so you can pay the mortgage that somebody
That's
else is
right.
paying you.
Welcome back to the Stockwell Roueche Show. I'm Jason Stockwell with RE/MAX Results.
Robin Hartle, RE/MAX Results.
And Maddie B. with Gradient Home Mortgage.
We are so grateful. We are. I shouldn't say we are so grateful. We should be so grateful for everything we have going on in the Twin Cities and everything that we have here. I mean, this beautiful summers, the lakes, I'm just driving around the other day. I'm looking at the greenery and all that stuff. How nice and the water we have, and we're not sitting in California wondering where we're going to get drinking water and all that.
Seriously.
Oh, yeah.
And we're so much that we have to be grateful for. That I just want to make sure people know that every day. Tony Robbins is a coach. I'm sure you've heard of him. Everybody's heard of him. But he says that the biggest thing you can do to change your lifestyle or to change how your production or your happiness, if you will, or everything, is to create an attitude of gratefulness. Be grateful. So wake up every morning and be grateful for what you do have. The more you focus on what you don't have and what others have and you feel you should have, that makes it so that you become not grateful and you become, envious of others and things like that. But always be grateful for what you have, because he says developing a habit of appreciating what you have can create a new level of emotional well-being and wealth. So it not only helps you emotionally, physically, but financially, mentally, everything. Just be grateful. It's so easy to not be grateful these days because of Facebook, and all you see everything and everybody's and everything's in the positive light. You see that new car that someone bought, or their relationship they're in, or you see where their kids are going to school, or their vacations, or their job, and you see how much money, and you're thinking, well, I don't have that. Now I feel lesser of a person or lesser, but you're grateful because as simple as, hey, I'm alive, number one,
right.
And then look at what I'm doing. Some days when you get really frustrated at work or you're doing a transaction or a sale and it's just really, really a bear and it's just painful as far as some of the stuff that goes on or some of the things that the people are saying to each other and the clients may be saying to each other or the way they may be feeling. And you just sometimes are like, oh, this is too much. But you got to look at it and say, I'm grateful because I have an opportunity to work, to do something, to help, to get through this, and we'll get through this with time. It's so important to be grateful. But anyway, developing a habit of appreciating what you have can create a new level of emotional health and well-being and wealth. So that's from Tony Robbins, and that is also with could be tied into anything with real estate and renters.
Yep.
You got a place to live in, so you got to be grateful for that. You're paying
Right.
rent. Sure, you're paying someone else's mortgage, but grateful for that.
got a
The
roof
landlord
over
or the
your head.
owner is grateful to you for helping pay,
Helping them create their own wealth.
create their
Right.
own wealth.
Right.
So those are some cool.
And we're kind of blessed in our country to not have the government providing us our housing. There's countries where that's provided for them, and there is no opportunity for a private individual or an investor to be able to own the property themselves and gain that equitable appreciation. So
It's phenomenal. And here's another reason to be grateful. The monthly mortgage payment. So everybody, if you look at the average monthly mortgage payment that you pay for your house in relation to median priced homes in the U.S., so they take the median price, which is probably around $220, $230 right now. So if you have the median
close.
price around there and you take that, that's for Minnesota, but they're talking about the U.S. as a whole, as far as the percentage of your monthly payment as opposed to your income is, and everybody says, oh, we're in another bubble. We're in another bubble. I'm not saying we're not, but in 2006, the monthly mortgage payment was average was $1,305. $1,305 as opposed to the median income. Right now, $808. So we're back to
That's good.
We're still at the way bottom barrel. If you see this graph, we'll post this graph on our Facebook page under Stockwell Roueche Show on Facebook. But it'll show you how low it actually went because rates are so low and the prices are up, getting up there, but they're not crazy like they were back in 2006 where people were paying significantly more and also having higher rates. I think they were double the rates were, or not double, they were 6.5. So that's great news. Be grateful for that your payment, your amount of money you're spending on your house, if you're owning, is less than it was almost at any other time in history except for the last 2 years prior to this year. Your rent, though, on the flip side, your rent, the amount of rent that you're
continuing to
paying
rise.
every month is at an all-time high in the Twin Cities. Is that right? All-time
That is
high?
right. That is an all-time high. I was also looking at this thing that talked about home values and whatnot. We're fortunate where we live in the Twin Cities. Like we outpace a lot of the other cities that are out there. Like our median home price right now, which I think is good. You get a lot for your dollar in the Twin Cities. Imagine a $212,000 house in the Twin Cities versus a $190,000 shoebox condo in Chicago. Or I got a friend of mine who lives down in Dallas-Fort Worth area, and he's renting a condo down there, and He's like, I get nothing for what I used to get in Minneapolis. I get nothing compared to what I got there. Like the house I owned there versus coming down here and paying the same price, paying the same amount, but I got nothing. So it's we're like you said, very grateful to be in the area that we're in. We're in a great community.
Yeah.
Everything is, a lot of stuff is going on. So drive around, see all kinds of stuff being built all over the place. People are really, really, construction workers are doing phenomenal jobs on all kinds of projects, and the demand is there, and they're being filled. I'm surprised. I mean, they're being rented and filled.
Yeah, we just came back from Florida. My husband and I, we actually went down there. We had a little vacation down there with the kids. And at that time, we spent some time down there a week, and we looked at some condominiums to purchase as an investment property. So we went down there
Nice.
to look at investment properties, condos on the beach in Fort Walton Beach, Florida, and in Alabama. So it's right on the Gulf
Yep.
of Mexico, right on the beach. And it would be an investment property and some place that we retire to
yeah.
eventually. But at this point in our lives, we would rent it out. So we'd buy the place, we'd fix it up, we'd rent it out for, the rest of the season, except for maybe a couple of weeks out of the year that we would go down there and use it.
Would it be like a condo
And
type?
it would be a condo.
Condo
Yeah.
hotel type of like it's a weekly rental type
Yeah,
of thing?
so it would be a weekly rental.
Yep.
And that's what they do. Like, they have condos all over the beach down there.
Yep.
And it's beachfront, so it's right on the beach. You walk right out of your door, you're right on the beach. White sand, turquoise water. It's on the Emerald Coast.
You're painting a beautiful picture right now.
It's amazing. And they rent them out. So, like, if you've got like $2,000 mortgage every month, they rent these things out for about $1,000 a
A
week.
week. Yep.
A week. So you're paying for your mortgage. Now, you've got to pay somebody to manage it.
Yep.
And then whoever rents it out, they pay for the cleaning service.
Yep.
But a lot of these places have on-site management.
Yep.
And, it's really something to think about. So we were down there looking at several different condos, and they've got all these condos on the beach, and they're really nice.
Talking about the landlord thing really quick, like in that example, I'm thinking about this to myself right now because I've got some clients that were looking in the Orlando area.
Okay.
Because they're like, well, we could buy something in Orlando right around Disney.
Yeah.
And it would always be filled because
It would
everybody
always.
always going to Disney.
Yeah.
So the thought process, say you got a $2,000 a month mortgage payment.
Sure.
And you're only rented out 3 weeks instead of 4 out of the year.
Yeah.
Or out of the month. You got 3 G's coming in.
Oh, yeah.
If your mortgage is 2, you pay that extra 1,000 in. Guess what? You took a 30-year mortgage down to a 10-year term.
Yes.
So in 10 years, that place is free and clear, and now you've got
There you go.
$3,000. That's a heck of a pension, forced pension, or an
Exactly.
earned pension for you after that house is paid off.
Yes, and there's several people down there. We talked to a lot of people that they buy one, and then that's doing well for them. So then they take a little extra cash from that one, they buy another one.
Yep.
Then that's doing well, and they buy. Then we talked to one guy who's got 7 of them.
Yeah, well, it's like off subject, but most of the people that I know, some friends of mine who own McDonald's and Taco Bell's and KFC's, and I say own several. They buy the first one, and that franchising opportunity, kind of like what you're talking
Right.
about with owning more rental properties,
More rental properties.
you're buying into the opportunity to continue to duplicate yourself.
Right.
Why wouldn't you? If that first one's doing well, buy another one because
Yeah.
history should repeat itself.
And we talked to a real estate agent down there with Remax, and they were talking because we were talking about taking money from IRAs that we have and putting it in. And he was talking about a self-directed IRA where we take the money from our self-directed IRA, then we use that self-directed IRA to fund and use that. So that was pretty interesting.
That reminds me, we will do a show on folks. We'll do a show on self-directed IRA. I have one. I wanted to for years. It was a little daunting. It seems daunting and overwhelming. Again, it takes work because you're self-directing your money. You're not just putting it in the stock market and putting your hands together and hoping and praying that we don't have a crash today.
Yeah, you're doing it all yourself.
You're actually directing where your money goes. You can put them into billboards. I've seen people buy plots of land for billboards, cell phone towers. If you know a piece of land that's going to be very valuable near an exit where there's going to be a potential pharmacy like a I've seen people make millions on one deal. because of knowing where something's going to be and having the courage to self-direct. So great. We'll have a show on self-directed IRA at some point in the future. I'm Jason Stockwell with RE/MAX Results.
Robin Hartle, RE/MAX Results.
And Matt Bjorgen with Gradient Home Mortgage.
Thanks for tuning in. We're very grateful, and we'll be back soon.
This time I'ma stand up and shout. I'ma do things my way. It's my way or the highway. Did you steal my money? Did you steal my money?
Who's stealing my money besides the federal government? No, I'm just kidding. I'm Jason Stockwell with RE/MAX Results.
Robin Hartle, RE/MAX Results.
And Maddie B with Gradient Home Mortgage.
We are back. You're listening to the Stockwell Roueche Show every Sunday, 10 a.m. here on AM 1280 The Patriot. We're talking about why renting may not be a good idea for you potentially, or why it could be a good idea for you. But some of the benefits of not renting and actually pulling the trigger, having the courage to actually take a bold step, and it's a very bold step, to commit, because you're married, if you will, to that house now when you buy it, and you're actually putting a lot of money in on it, and you're taking care of it, and it's something that you own, and it gives you great pride. Many people give great pride and joy in their home, and it's comforting that they have it, it's theirs, and they love paying for it, love taking care of it, love landscaping and putting in a garden and doing all those fun things that sometimes are not so fun, that are chores, if you will. But part of it is also we're overwhelmed in today's society. Just launching of news information, bad news, and we're overwhelmed with work and all kinds of things that are going on. You may be overwhelmed. You may know someone who's overwhelmed. And, you know, not to say to go out on a limb here, I could go on a limb and say creating, or, you know, owning a property or owning your home may help you not be as overwhelmed, because in my opinion, it does, because it gives you a sense of stability. So you feel more stable.
Roots.
And you have roots, and you have something that you have to work for, and to, you know, besides, you know, and of course your family's a whole other story too, because you have all kinds of things with your significant other and and any children, if you have children, and family members. But it creates also, I'd go on a limb and say it creates more balance for you in your life. And Tony Robbins talks about, again, it's not all about Tony Robbins today, but it is a little bit, because he talks about creating balance. He says 3 decisions that will change your life and create balance for you. And he says, number 1, I'll read them real quickly, and then Robin and Maddie B, we can discuss these. Mm-hmm. Carefully choose what you focus on. Number 1. Number 2, figure out, what does all this mean? All this stuff. And then lastly, what will you do? What will you do about it? What kind of actions are you going to act? Which is, actions change things. Or are you going to not act? So careful on what you focus on, figure out what it all means, and then what are you going to do?
Carefully choose what you focus on. That's huge, because too many people focus on negative stuff in their life and not the positive things.
It's so easy to fall into that spiral tunnel.
We were talking about this the other day. Me and my dad were, hanging out over dinner and talking about social media. And 50 years from now, 25 years from now, or 100 years from now, who knows how long it's going to be, but they're going to look back on this. Mm-hmm. And social media may not have been the best avenue for us to spiral off into. It's
brutal on social media.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, everybody gets, you can be, everything you, the other thing is too, so what you focus on, the other thing, a real quick side note outside of that on social media is, I search a lot online for properties. I'm on MLS, I'm on Zillow, I'm on all kinds of websites every day for hours. Sometimes at night, researching, finding properties for clients or for myself or for.
I don't think Jason sleeps, to be honest with you. I think he's just online searching.
But I do search a lot. I remember seeing the house in 2012, 2011 maybe, and it was a dream. It's kind of one of those vision boards, if you will. I didn't have a vision board. My wife has a vision board. Katie, she's great at those.
Yep.
I have not done that. I want to do that. Mm-hmm. I haven't done it yet. But I saw this house and I thought, man, that would be a cool house. And then I'd look at it again maybe a month later. And then I'm like, oh, that would never work for us because of X, Y, and Z. And 6 months later, we find ourselves not getting the house that we originally wanted. And I'm like, well,
I'm going to go back.
This thing is still available. let's just throw something out there and see what happens. And put an offer in on it. And then 9 months later, the offer gets accepted. And we actually live in that house. But that started out as just and I focused on that.
Right.
I wasn't totally saying in the beginning, that's the house. But I was thinking, wow, that's cool. And then I went back to it. Then I went back to it. Then I went back to it. This happens in relationships. This happens in housing. It happens in anything, or
Maybe a
job, or your
subliminal
career.
thing,
Yeah,
you know,
you
it's
start to
like
create
kind of
that,
that.
what you focus on. So if you're only focusing on, say, the bad news or the Facebook or some negative thing, that will start to happen. It's just natural.
And
That's what happens.
I think me and my dad got on the topic of it because I had posted a picture of my dog for National Dog Day a couple weeks back, and that was a great day on social media. There was people happy with their
Yep.
dogs on there. It was a good
yeah.
day. Like all the garbage seemed to be pushed off to the
Yeah.
side by people posting pictures of their dogs, which made I'm a dog person. I'm a
Yeah,
huge dog
me too.
person, and it warmed my heart that
Yeah.
day watching all that. And then my dad was like, well, this is the first day I've gone on to Facebook and saw something that actually wasn't just death and destruction.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
actually a good day. So
Yeah.
And it ties into you folks out there if you're renting. Or if you have a house and you don't want it anymore and you want to sell it. So, but
You want something
if you're
better.
renting and all you're focusing on is, well, how in the heck am I going to pay this my rent? Or you're only looking forward maybe a little bit month to month. Focus big. Think a little bigger and say, wow, pick out and start looking. Hey, that house would be really cool. And then you'd be surprised at how it starts to set the wheel in motion. That if you go and you act and you actually focus on it to buy a home, it can seem way overwhelming, especially if you're a first timer to own a home.
that's where we
You
come
can
into
actually
play.
do it. Yeah, you start looking, you start dreaming, you start thinking about it, and then you can start talking to professionals about it and seeing if it's even feasible or what it would take to make it feasible.
Yeah.
If you have a house you don't want anymore, or you have a rental that you don't
Yep.
want anymore, it's a pain in your side, it's causing you have
Yeah.
eviction issues, you have maintenance issues, get rid of it. Focus. Think about what you would do with those assets or that money or that with that property out, and that's where we're here to help. Me, Maddie B, Robin, Josh. You can reach out to us on the Stockwell Roueche Show on Facebook. You can call 651-400-0773, 651-400-0773, or you can email us or call anytime. We're here. We're here to help.
I also have something, when you talk about something that you want to get rid of, it's not working for you anymore. If you've got a house that you want to sell that you're saying, oh, I'm so desperate to sell this, there's something that I took a class, one of my continuing education classes that I'm thinking, I've got to remember to tell this to my sellers. When you have a home that's no longer working for you anymore, and you're thinking, I'm really desperate to sell this, I really want to get out of this house, or even if it's a rental property that's not working for you anymore, and you're like, oh, it's just, it bogged me down, and you're just desperate to get rid of it. That energy that you feel in that house right now, that you're like, ick, I can't stand to be here anymore, remember that that's going to transfer
Yep.
over to the people that are going to come and look at that house. So no matter what you need to do, you need to remember that at one point when you bought that house, you liked that home.
I'm going to plug Robin right now because Robin is an amazing interior designer as well.
Thank you.
And if you have that feeling in your house, reach out to us on the show and ask for Robin's advice, because if you feel that in your house, you need somebody like Robin to come in and help bring that warm, fuzzy feeling back to that home. So if you are desperate to get rid of it, you're desperately getting rid of something that somebody's going to love.
Yes, because you need to then get that feeling out so that people will fall in love with that house, so that you can now fall in love with a new house. But if you have that icky energy in that house, that's going
That's going
to
with the
then
house.
go with the house, and it's going to have you may have a hard time getting rid of that house with that energy in there.
My neighbors are experiencing that right now. Literally next door to me, they wanted out of their house because they were literally a block out of the right school district for their kid.
Okay.
And they didn't want to do the open enrollment. They wanted them to be able to get on the bus and go to school and not have to drive them. And they were desperate to get out of the house. They desperately went and found a different house that they settled for. Didn't fall in love with, settled.
yep.
And they come back and we hang out. Their kids play with my kid. And they came back and they're like, the house that we're in, we wish we would have kept our house and just decided to drive the kid. I'm like, and that house, they're paying 2 mortgages right now.
Oh, that's
Big
so
mortgages,
sad.
not
Yeah.
small ones.
Wow.
And it's like,
You don't want to
yeah,
be in that.
all for a block move to a
block.
different school district.
Hey, kids are important. You have to do
They are.
anything for your kids. So this is very important, folks. Me, Josh, Robin, Maddie B, are here to help. So use us. There's no cost for asking questions. If we utilize our services, many times there's no cost for our services even, or it's the same as it would be anywhere else. But you're getting expert advice from people that will care about your goals and your needs, and also have the experience to see the big picture, if you will, of what could potentially happen and the pitfalls that may happen and the positive things that may happen. So
I tell my clients all the time, we're here as your partners in this. Like, I'm not here just to get a paycheck.
No.
I'm here to be your partner.
Right.
And we are here to help you make a financial decision, not necessarily based on emotion.
Right.
Whether it's just buying a new house, or you're a
Yep.
divorcing couple, or you're dealing with credit issues, we're here to help you make financial sound decisions, not based on emotions. Because like if you get, like, let's say you're falling behind on a mortgage and you got issues, people make bad decisions based on emotion.
Yeah.
Yep, if you have the information, you definitely have more control to make the right decisions.
Redirecting the
So
focus.
Yeah.
We'll be back with more. I'm Jason Stockwell with Remax Results.
Robin Hartle, Remax results.
And I'm Maddie B with Gradient Home Mortgage.
What do you spend your money on? I will buy you a garden where your flowers can bloom. I will buy you a new car, perfect shiny.
Welcome back to the Stockwell Roueche Show. I'm Jason Stockwell with Remax Results.
Robin Hartle, Remax results.
And Matt Bjorgen with Gradient Home Mortgage.
Robin Hartle's also with Robin Hartle Design and Style.
Yes,
right,
I
Robin?
am.
So if you need help with design or staging or anything to do with your remodel, Robin's experience with Home Time
Yes.
and Dean Johnson
Dean Johnson. Yep.
Al.
helped with that, and then also being the spokesperson for the Little Giant Step Ladder, because that's a safe ladder to use if you're
Very
going to use
safe.
it.
Yeah. And good with rental properties.
And I'm gonna plug Little Giants. I was using my Little Giant as I was changing out the cans in my. I was redoing all of my LED, redoing and all the cans in my house
Oh,
and
yeah.
putting LEDs in. And LEDs are on sale right now. They're
Oh,
cheap.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had the Little Giant.
Little Giant out.
All right.
The other thing too is call too, because Robin will also, part of her package as far as if you choose to sell or buy a home, she actually does her design and consulting free.
Yes.
So that is something you definitely would
I
want to
love
reach
it.
out to us about, or her about, and had some happy people that
Yes.
she's helped out, right?
Oh, yeah. Amazing. I've worked with several of my clients that have bought homes that needed a little TLC, and you should see the home now.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That's the fun part, folks. That's another fun part. If you own your home, if you're renting your home, and again, I'm not trying to make renting sound like a bad, horrible, evil thing. But if you're renting your home and you want to put in that nice new kitchen faucet, or you want to put in and paint that perfect color, or you want to put in that new flooring or do something, it's not yours. So it doesn't have the same feel. It might be wasting money, even though you may do it anyway because you like that particular lifestyle, but you're not going to be getting that back. When it's yours, your own, it's your home, it's your baby, all that fun stuff you do, it gives you such a feeling of confidence, pride, and just enjoyment because you did it.
I remember
made it yours.
I remember when I was flipping houses back in 05, 06, 07, and
Renovating, you mean?
renovations for profit.
Yes.
I remember talking with some guys who've been further down the path, having some mentors. I've got a bunch of mentors I deal with still, and I had guys there. They're like, when you go to Home Depot, you are going there to find stuff that is going to be suitable for the homeowner. You do not fall in love with the house you're buying that you're not keeping. If it's yours, by all means, yeah.
Right.
Deck it out, do it the way you want. But if it's something that you're not going to keep, you're not living there, there's no reason to bling it out. Especially, or if you're buying them and keeping them as rental properties, you're not going to be there maintaining things the way that you would have them maintained. If you're buying brand new stuff and you're not there living there, who knows who's going to take care
And
of
it's
your stuff.
frankly, I mean, it's a lot of work. It can be very stressful if you are someone you know is renovating or have done a project. Very, very stressful. And it can cause, but when it's done and complete and you actually get to enjoy that, and also the vision you can have too, you can actually say, hey, this would be really cool. I want this, or I've dreamed of this, or I saw this, and our friends have this, and I think this would be cool to have in our property or in our house. Then you can do it. But always be grateful for your property, no matter how bad it is or how good it is.
That's
One
right.
of, one of my
for what you
best
have.
friends just bought his house, and he is finishing off a 1,500 square foot basement right now. And him and his wife talked about maybe we should just build our own house. We could build our dream. And I'm watching the stress going on in their relationship right now as they're getting out of their
it can be
rental
tough.
and moving into their new place, and they're finishing off the basement and like everything that's going. He's got twins at home, and it's just like I'm looking at him, and he's got the bags under his eyes, and I was like, "What time did you get home last night?" He's like 2:00 in the morning. What
Yeah.
time did you get up? Well, the twins were up at 6. I'm like,
It can be an extra part-time, maybe full-time job at times if you're doing a full renovation or if you're doing a build, a custom build. But anyway, call us. I'm Jason Stockwell with Remax Results. You're listening to the Stockwell Roueche Show every Sunday, 10 a.m. here on AM 1280 The Patriot. Number 651-400-0773. And we have with us
Robin
today.
Hartle with Remax Results and Robin Hartle Designs and Style.
Yep.
and Maddie B with Gradient Home Mortgage.
Filling you in on rentals and what's happening in the rental market. It says here, I'm reading a little article here that says single-family property renters may be more likely to buy a home than those in an apartment complex or apartment building.
They've gotten used to the
They got
I
the
got a
taste.
yard. I
Hit
got
the nail on the
taste.
head
Yeah.
right there.
Yep.
They got the
Once
taste.
you know what it's like to have your own space, if you will, and not hear your neighbors
Or
doing
smell their food.
whatever they're doing next door, cooking, cleaning, or
Grilling
who knows
out,
what.
having parties.
Right.
And I remember when I was renting, the laundry was always a fun task.
Oh yeah.
Because I worked so hard during the week, and I had Saturday and Sunday to do my laundry.
Everybody else does too.
Oh, tell me about it. And it was on the hallway, so we had, I don't know how many people had to share this laundry. And
Schlepping your bags of laundry down and
Yep.
keeping them in line so you're next in line. And
yeah, you always wonder whose stuff that was left there for like the
4
whole day or
hours.
2 days. And then it's in a pile because you have to move someone else's stuff out, and just not enjoyable. But
Or listening to the people up above
Upstairs?
you.
the herd of elephants.
The
boom,
herd
boom,
of-
boom, boom,
or,
boom.
or if you work, if you're working later, you work odd hours or whatever, and
Yeah.
and the other people just have absolutely no consideration for the fact that you're working odd hours or whatever, and you're trying to sleep, and they decide, yeah, we're having a party.
And I don't know if apartment builders back, I was in an older apartment building, maybe the new ones, maybe you folks, if you know what the new ones are like, if you're in one or you know someone, maybe they have better technology or better construction
Yeah.
processes to make sure
Or
that
like
the sound isn't as bad.
Sound,
Because, man,
right.
I swear all that was between me and my neighbors in my apartment that I lived in Burnsville was a piece of drywall on my side and a piece of drywall on their side.
Got it.
That was it
Yeah.
because I could hear TV
Everything.
going.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, "What?" and I got up
I
really
know what
early
they're
at the time.
watching.
It was very frustrating.
Yeah.
But anyway, that kind of makes total sense that people that live in and rent a single family home are more likely to buy because they've gotten a taste of what it's like to have their own home. And I personally have some single family rentals that they do take care of it as if it's their own
Yeah.
home. They absolutely love being in their own house. It's just a
You get-
sense of
You
freedom
have
and
good renters who have a sense of ownership.
yeah,
That's
they
cool.
absolutely love it. And I've sold the properties, some of them right to the renters. They want to buy them, So reach out to us about questions about that too, because there's actually programs out there that help you on either contract for deed, or you can do a contract for deed if you really want to own, but you may not be in a position to buy financially from a standpoint of a mortgage. Or you can rent to own, but be very careful with that from a seller standpoint or from an owner standpoint, and also as a renter standpoint. You should be very careful with that. Definitely consult with an expert or an agent on that.
I'm going to interject on that one a little bit. When it comes down to the financing side of it, it is always better to be on a contract for deed because you own more rights to the property.
Yes.
You're able to treat that more as a refinance transaction versus if you're on a lease to own or a rent to own type of program, and you've been getting prime example. I had a client who was supposedly getting $300 a month of their mortgage of their rent payment to apply towards the principal. The lender said nope, can't have it.
Yeah, you got to be careful. And plus, there's always bad apples out there. So certain investors or certain people use some of these rent-to-owns as a scheme or a trick, if you will, and it's really not what it's meant out to be. If you have a full legitimate contract for deed, which still can be dangerous, just make sure. Even says on the contract for deed forms, if you're going to enter into a contract for deed, that if you do not have an agent helping you, then they recommend you have a lawyer. If you don't have a lawyer or an agent, you have to sign that you knowingly don't have either one.
Yep.
Because there is so much abuse that went on with those, and many people were negatively affected. However, if done properly, just like many things, can be a very, very valuable tool for you. So thanks again for tuning in, folks. I'm Jason Stockwell with RE/MAX Results.
Robin Hartle, RE/MAX Results.
And Maddie B. with Gradient Home Mortgage.
We're back next Sunday, 10 a.m. here at AM 1280 The Patriot. And we really appreciate you folks out there listening. And if there's, again, anything you need real estate related, feel free to reach out to us and use us as a resource or a tool for anything real estate related. And just maybe grab a cup of coffee and talk too. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll be up for that too. So
Happy to help you.
we'll be back again. Remember, love yourself and love others.